This time on The W.I.T.S Show, we're diving into the telepathy tapes, the shocking idea that telepathy may be real, measurable, and resurfacing in ways science can't explain. We'll break down the stories, the tests, the ancient connections, the alien ties, and how this all links back to a language humanity may have lost. So get comfortable, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The W.I.T.S Show, where smart meets stupid and somehow makes sense. I'm Georgie, and I'm thinking out loud so you don't have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The W.I.T.S Show, from what I think seriously to you.
W.I.T.S, The W.I.T.S Show.
Cool story, bro.
Welcome to The W.I.T.S. Georgie, why are you staring at me like that? Are you finally having a stroke?
Just a stroke of genius. Why is that funny? You know, shut up. I'm trying something. I'm sending you a thought.
A thought?
Yeah, dude, telepathy. I've been practicing ever since I listened to those telepathy tapes. I'm basically like psychic Mike Tyson.
Oh my god.
Did you get it? Dude, come on. I was thinking go get me a Lunchable.
Well, congratulations. It didn't work.
Yeah, that's because you're emotionally blocked. Your chakras are wrapped in freaking barbed wire.
Or, and hear me out, it's because you can't beam words into people's skulls like a mental Wi-Fi router.
Oh, really? Then explain the telepathy tapes.
Okay.
Exactly. You can't. And today, for episode 22, we're diving into the one podcast that made me question everything I thought I knew about the human mind.
And if this episode ends with you asking me to join a mind meld circle in the living room...
No promises, brother.
Alright, let's get into it before I regret this entire career path.
And shout out to my boy Justin Locke. Ew, Will.
What?
Oh, nothing. But before we open your third eye, let's open your energy levels.
Okay, smooth, Georgie. Very subtle.
Listeners, if you want clean energy without jitters, without sugar, and without the government tapping into your brainwaves...
They don't tap into your brainwave. Stop saying that.
You need W energy, dude. It's basically telepathy fuel.
It's absolutely not telepathy fuel. It's just really good.
Same thing, dude. So grab some W and use code THEWITCHSHOW at checkout for 30% off. Because if the government is studying telepathy, you better stay awake. Now roll the song, dude.
Yeah, we're not doing that today.
What, dude?
We're not doing it today.
I don't want to say you suck, but you suck. Can't we just do a little one?
No.
Please?
No.
Please, dude.
No.
Dude, come on.
Oh my god, fine. Just a little one.
Average size.
What?
Nothing.
Wake your brain up, tap in your cup. Clean energy, no crash, just level up. Use code The W.I.T.S Show, 30% off.
Oh, yeah, dude, freaking 30% off, dude. Sick.
All right, welcome back to The W.I.T.S Show. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me always, every week. You guys are the OGs. When I first heard of the telepathy tapes by Ky Dickens, I expected an emotional documentary, something touching, something human. But I didn't expect to walk away with questions echoing in my mind louder than any conspiracy, any ancient legend, or any UFO encounters we've covered. What if telepathy never died? We just forgot how to use it. So this podcast centers around non-speaking autistic individuals who communicate through letterboards, spelling, expressing, revealing entire internal words people assumed weren't there. But then something else begins to surface, something bigger. The ability to receive information without hearing it. The ability to know what someone else is thinking before the word was typed. The ability to operate in a shared internal landscape called the Hill. A mental gathering place described by multiple non-speaking individuals who had never met. Coincidence, imagination, or the remnants of a language humanity once possessed. This absolutely freaking blows my mind. We're talking about people who have never met halfway across the country from each other. Yeah, well, that's just anecdotal data, bro. My entire life is anecdotal data. Anything that you believe in, pretty much, is anecdotal data, especially if you believe in a specific religion. But don't take my word for it. You can actually go and listen to this yourself on the podcast. It's called The Telepathy Tapes, and it's by Ky Dickens. And as I listened, I didn't feel like I was hearing anecdotes. I felt like I was hearing memory. And of course, you know me, right after I heard this stuff, I had to go down a freaking rabbit hole of information. And boy, can I tell you, it gets so good. And the best part, it got my gears turning and I just started pumping out theories. So Ky Dickens didn't present these stories as magic tricks or wishful thinking. She presented them as experiments. A caregiver thinks of a number and a child, who can't speak, writes the correct number again and again and again and again and again and again. Like nearly 100% accuracy every freaking time. A parent silently imagines a image a house, a circle, a tree, whatever. The child picks the matching image from a group again and again and again, and it just keeps going. If you're listening with your eyes half closed, you might shrug it off. But when you open your mind for even a second, you realize something undeniable. Statistically, this shouldn't be happening. Not repeatedly, not across families, not across states. And yet, it does. The emotional impact is almost overwhelming. Children who cannot express themselves vocally suddenly able to reveal thoughts, ideas, emotions, poetry, philosophy. Some of them describe telepathy not as a superpower, but as something natural, something humans unlearned. And if that doesn't make the hairs on your arms stand up, I don't know what will. Whenever something threatens the boundaries of what science can control or monetize, it gets labeled as pseudoscience. That's not new. We've seen it in near-death experiences, remote viewing, ancient civilizations, UFO sightings, you name it. The same people who dismiss this as anecdotal data or not real, the big governments of the world, are the exact same ones who quietly declassify documents admitting that remote viewing, psychic experiments, and mind-to-mind perceptions were not only studied, but produced results they still can't explain. But telepathy hits an even more sensitive nerve, because if it's real, science would have to answer one terrifying question. Well, more like two. Why can some people still tap into it, and why can't the rest of us? Critics argue that the spelling, the tests, the telepathic claims, they're all coincidence or subconscious cues. But here's the thing. You don't fight this hard to debunk something unless you feel threatened by it. You don't assemble committees, you don't publish hit pieces, you don't roll out academic statements unless something is poking a hole in the narrative you built. And something about the telepathy tapes scares the establishment. If this ability is real, then everything we know about communication, consciousness, intelligence, and the human potential, it all has to be rewritten. And honestly, I think that's exactly why people are fighting it. I mean, really think about it. If something like this were to ever be proven true, and I personally think we're staring right at the evidence, then the highest religious leaders on earth, including the Pope himself, would have to address it. They'd have to explain how telepathy fits into the fabric of creation, and honestly, maybe it already does. Because in the Bible, it literally says 2 Corinthians verse 8, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. If our consciousness can exist outside the body in the presence of God, then who's to say it can't reach outside the body in the presence of another mind? Maybe this isn't breaking theology at all. Maybe it's confirming something ancient and spiritual we've forgotten. That the mind isn't trapped inside the skull. It was never meant to be. And here's where things get even wilder. The idea that humans once communicated without words isn't new. In fact, it's one of the oldest reoccurring themes in human mythology. Yeah, that's right. The Sumerians wrote about gods who spoke through the mind. Hindu texts describe entire castes of beings who communicated without sound. Indigenous tribes across the world, the Hopi, the Navajo, Aboriginal Australians describe shamanic practices where thoughts and visions were shared directly. Tibetan monks practiced mental projection long before MRI machines could even detect brainwaves. This isn't new, this isn't fringe, and this is global. It's almost like every ancient culture has been whispering the same message. Humans once spoke with the mind, something happened, and we forgot. But what happened? Well, that takes us into territory that's both spiritual and conspiratorial, which means it's perfect for this show. Because honestly, who doesn't want to saddle up a rabbit and go down this hole with me? I definitely know that you do, Tim. You too, Jared. I know y'all listening. Y'all my day oneers. The real OGs who keep this show going. Anyway, across thousands of abduction reports, regardless of culture, age, religion, background, one detail repeats with eerie consistency. They spoke into my mind. Their mouths never moved. I heard them without hearing. Aliens, if they exist, do not need vocal cords. They do not rely on air vibration. Their communication through frequency, consciousness, resonance, whatever term you want. If humans once had telepathy, and an advanced civilization continues to use it, then we're not just behind. We're the cosmic toddlers drooling on the carpet while everyone else is having philosophical debates with telepathy. So of course, podcasts like the Telepathy Tapes would matter. Of course, certain individuals might still retain a fragment of the ability, and of course the governments would study it. Telepathy isn't science fiction, it's standard technology in the universe. But here's where your brain might break a little. In the Bible, humanity once shared one language. But think about that. The entire planet, one spoken language? Impossible, unless language didn't mean words, but connections. What if the original human communication system before nations, before Babel, was telepathic? A unified consciousness, a shared mental bandwidth, a world where misunderstanding didn't exist. And then something happened. A fracture, a severing of the human connection. God confused their language, or in modern terms, he shut down telepathy. He severed the network. He unplugged the human Wi-Fi, if you will. And suddenly, the human race fell into fragmentation, forced to invent spoken languages, writing systems, gestures, all because the original method had been wiped clean. Now, hear me out on this. If telepathy was the original human language, then what we see in the telepathy tapes isn't evolution. It's memory. It's rediscovery. It's the rebooting of the system we were never meant to lose. If this ability is resurfacing, why these individuals? Why non-speaking autistic people? Why now? Well, here's one theory. When you remove the noise of spoken language, when you remove the social conditioning, when the brain itself is forced to adapt to our artificial communication system, if you will, you're left with something raw, something unfiltered, something ancient. Maybe these individuals aren't behind in communication. Maybe they're ahead of us. Maybe they never lost the signal the rest of us did. Maybe their minds are closer to the original blueprint, closer to the humanity humans once had. And maybe the telepathy tapes didn't reveal a miracle. Maybe it's revealing a warning that humanity is waking back up. I, for one, believe what Einstein said. If you judge a fish's intelligence by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Seriously, one of my all-time favorite quotes. And that hits hard when you think about it, especially when you take autism into consideration. Just because someone with autism doesn't look traditionally smart by society's shallow standards doesn't mean they aren't brilliant in ways we can't begin to measure. The telepathy tapes prove that perfectly. One of the non-speaking autistic children absolutely loves math, and she's probably better at it than I am or ever will be. Meanwhile, I'm what modern society would label as normal. Unless you ask my wife or a few of my friends, in which case they'd probably laugh me out of the room. But that's exactly the point. Intelligence doesn't wear one face. Genius doesn't follow one rulebook. And sometimes the people the world underestimate end up showing us abilities we forgot humans even had. You know, when we talk about intelligence, society still acts like it's this neat little checklist. Talk early, sit still, follow direction, memorize things you don't care about, boom, normal. But history shows us over and over again that normal has never been the birthplace of genius. Take Einstein. Didn't speak full sentences until he was around 4. His teacher thought he was slow. People genuinely believed that something was wrong with him. Today, we put his face on posters that say, genius, go figure. But he's not alone. Isaac Newton struggled socially, barely talked, and spent more time staring into space than engaging with people. The man practically invented modern physics while avoiding small talk. Nikola Tesla? Intensely introverted, hypersensitive to sound, obsessed with patterns, numbers, and lights. People thought he was eccentric, until they realized he was inventing half the modern world. Kinda sounds autistic to me. Thomas Edison was labeled addle by his schoolmaster and kicked out of class for not paying attention. The guy couldn't sit still. Now, he's credited with changing human civilization. Leonardo da Vinci couldn't focus on one thing. He jumped between projects, wrote backwards, and even struggled to finish anything. And yet he's one of the greatest thinkers and creators who ever lived. Let's not forget about Mozart, who, despite being a musical genius, was described as impulsive, socially odd, overly sensitive, and consistently misunderstood. And if those weren't enough, even Elon Musk said that he never fit in. He spoke awkwardly and struggled socially. Yet he's reshaping the modern technological landscape. What do all of these people have in common? Well, they don't fit into the mold. They didn't act how society expected. They didn't look like the traditional intelligence. But they were operating on a different wavelength, a wavelength the rest of the world didn't recognize yet. And that's exactly why the telepathy tapes sit so heavily with me. Once again, we're seeing individuals the world misunderstands, non-speaking autistic people, reveal abilities that don't fit in the standard blueprints. Society sees nonverbal and assumes limitations, but limitations compared to what? A rulebook that half of history's geniuses never followed? One of the girls in the telepathy tapes absolutely crushes math. Faster, cleaner, and more naturally than most adults could dream of. She's doing things mentally that I probably couldn't pull off with a calculator and a cheat sheet, and meanwhile, I'm over here labeled as normal, unless you ask anyone who's heard this show for at least 10 minutes. But that's the entire point. Genius rarely looks how we expect it to. Brilliance doesn't show up wearing a name tag. Sometimes the people the world underestimates are operating on frequencies we forgot existed. And maybe telepathy isn't a superpower. Maybe it's a sign, a reminder of the abilities humans once had before society told us what was normal, what was supposed to be. And when you really step back and look at all of this, the telepathy tapes, the ancient accounts of mind-to-mind communications, the scientific panic, the misunderstood geniuses, the alien connections, the Tower of Babel, you start to realize this episode wasn't just about telepathy. It was about the story of the human mind. For centuries, we've been told what intelligence is supposed to look like, sound like, behave like. We've been handed a checklist and told, if you don't fit into this box, then something must be wrong with you. But what if the truth is that the box was the problem the entire time? What if the people we assume are quiet are actually listening deeper? What if the ones we think are disconnected are tuned into a frequency we forgot how to hear? What if the telepathy tapes aren't revealing a new ability, if you will, but resurfacing an old one? Think about it. If consciousness can exist outside the body like 2 Corinthians 5 verses 8 says, then why couldn't it reach outside the body while we're still alive? Why couldn't minds communicate across a space we don't fully understand? Why couldn't the soul speak, even when the body can't? Maybe telepathy isn't paranormal at all. Maybe it's the original human language. Maybe we're not discovering something new. Maybe we're remembering something ancient. And if that's true, then the children, the individuals, the voices coming through the telepathy tapes aren't anomalies. They're reminders. They're the spark we lost somewhere along the way. They're the echoes of humanity that once communicated mind to mind, spirit to spirit, before the connection was severed. Whether by time, evolution, divine intervention, or something entirely different. But one thing is certain. If telepathy is real, even a little, then everything we think we know about intelligence, consciousness, communication, spiritually, and the human experience is about to change forever. And honestly, I think we're long overdue for a change. But that's my opinion. Why don't you go tell me what yours is in my comments section? And until next time, this is The W.I.T.S Show. My name's Georgie, and I'm always thinking out loud so you don't have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the W.I.T.S Show from What I Think Seriously to You.
W.I.T.S, The W.I.T.S Show.
Cool story, bro.
So, after all of that, do you think you can still send me some thoughts?
Dude, absolutely. I've been practicing the whole episode.
Really? What did you send?
The freaking chorus to the song we're about to play, dude.
Big surprise. I didn't hear a thing.
Dude, that's because your brain is on airplane mode.
Or because telepathy doesn't work that way, dude.
Listen, dude. I sent it. Whether you received it is a you problem.
Fine, dude. What's the song called?
Oh, it's called Forgotten Signals, dude.
Did you just make that up?
Or did I telepathically plant it into your mind and you think you made it up yourself?
Oh my god. What? Just roll the song, please, before I lose brain cells.
Whatever you say, dude. Hey, Jarvis, you're up, buddy.
In colors, used to talk in waves, used to share our heartbeat in 1,000 hidden ways. But something pulled the wire, something broke the code. Now we're shouting words, 'cause the old path closed. But I feel it in the quiet, like an echo waking up, like a spark behind the static in a world that's had enough. We're tuning into signals we forgot, a voice inside the silence of our thoughts. And maybe forgot.